All right. This will be episode 4 of our podcasting. And we have Luke and, well, I guess our new one would be Luke, but we have
It's me.
David again and Ross, and we have Ryan, who is actually hosting it tonight. So I appreciate him.
No problem.
All right. So, first off, got some games going on right now, the NFL season. Who are your predictions of who either is going to make it to the Super Bowl or who will make a deep playoff run? I'm going to let Luke start this one.
Say, and I hate to do this because I'm not just a huge fan, but I'm thinking that Kansas City makes another deep run. Their offense is on fire right now. They've got the best tight end in the business. Their quarterback seems to be unstoppable. And the running game, while not spectacular, seems to be enough to keep defenses honest. And that just opens up the passing game. They got deep threats with Tyreek Hill. They're just not really a downside. And I'm not just saying that, Ryan, because of my fantasy football team is kicking your butt. But I've got to give it to them. That's my number 1 pick. Yeah, I would be surprised if they didn't finish in the Super Bowl. Other than that, there's a few key performances here and there. I hate to say it, but my Broncos are they're not making it out of anywhere. They're playing like Arkansas Razorbacks right now. So, and then on the other side, maybe Green Bay. Aaron Rodgers is still leading a great team. They're struggling a little on defense, more so than Kansas City, but I know David's really excited to hear that.
Yeah.
It's really the only 2 teams that I would say have much of a thing going for them at the moment.
All right. David, what about you?
I would say, I hope I'm wrong, but I would say Buffalo. Because,
Okay.
Josh Allen right now is kind of, on fire, so...
He is on fire.
Yeah. So, I would say deep playoff run, maybe second round, not Super Bowl contender yet. Don't know. But that would be a surprise. I would say Cleveland makes it second round, but not Super Bowl. Maybe Pittsburgh. New Orleans may make it. But I don't know. Arizona's kind of been decent this year. Maybe Green Bay, but I could be wrong. Really, I can. Green Bay's been struggling really bad on defense. And was it Saturday? Yeah, yesterday. We shouldn't have won that game due to, lax coverage. That's the one thing we struggled on in the second half is, finishing the game. So, if anything, I don't think we make it to the Super Bowl. But if anything, Seattle makes it or Tampa Bay.
And I agree with you on the Buffalo. I think they do make a decent run. Their offense is killing it right now. Plus, got my draft pick, Stephon Diggs in there, and he's just – nobody can seem to guard him at the moment. He's racking up point after point after point.
Ryan, what about you?
I actually think you saw the Super Bowl tonight. I think it's going to be Kansas City and New Orleans.
Okay.
And the reason why is because Kansas City is just their offense is, as another Broncos guy, I hate saying it, but their offense is just way too good.
Well, yeah.
And then, but you look at I think what you look at with like New Orleans, well, I think New Orleans would get into it, is New Orleans winds up losing tonight's game 32-29, if I'm correct. Let me double check here. But pretty sure that was the case. Yeah, they lost at 32. They lost 29-32, and you have a Drew Brees who's been playing really well, but he's been out injured. So this is his first game back from injury, so he's a little bit rusty. I think they have some guys on defense that are out as well, and I know they've got some other guys on offense that are out right now. If you get all of them healthy, I think they make it to the Super Bowl, and I think there's a really good chance if they have a healthy roster again by the Super Bowl, and if they're playing Kansas City, that they could potentially beat Kansas City there and everything. But I really do believe New Orleans has it. It's New Orleans to lose getting to the Super Bowl at this point.
Yeah.
And that's the NFC side. I just don't see anyone's defense on the AFC matching up to Kansas City. I like the Bills. I actually really like the Bills. I think they're a great team. And, yeah, their offense is playing lights out right now. But their defense at times can be a little bit suspect. So I don't trust them this year. If they can keep all the pieces in place and build up a little bit more for next year, I think they have a really good chance. But this is this year. So I really think we saw the Super Bowl matchup tonight, which kind of begs the question. And I was wondering this as I was watching the game. You know, you got to wonder if both these coaches, Peyton and
Reed,
are sitting there thinking, this is potentially the Super Bowl. And do you think they're giving their all, like with their teams, or do you think they're trying new plays and new strategies with these in this game, because they kind of think this could be potentially our Super Bowl matchup? I was wondering that.
I could see them holding back, thinking we don't want to show all of our cards because we're going to make a deep playoff run. And what things, kind of on the aggressive side, what will work against that Kansas City defense or against that New Orleans defense that we can use when we meet them later. So I could see it.
I also see this kind of as a trial period, because these two teams have kind of pretty much wrapped up their spot. We know that they're
exactly
there. And so what better time than now to really test out new theories, try new plays, see what's working, work on trouble spots. I know Ross hasn't really chimed in yet, but there was one team that they're kind of, I think, wild card for sure. But that's the Ravens.
Is who?
The Ravens.
Yeah, they're on a 3-game winning streak.
They're hitting hot right at the right moment. And tonight, they're playing the Jaguars. And the Jaguars, while I like them, they've
lost 13 in a row.
3 years ago, that their defense was ranked number 1. I thought, okay, maybe this is going to be something special. And it was super underwhelming then. It just has not changed since. So they're really for the Ravens, but the Ravens got some potential there.
I think like another wild one would be Miami with Tua at the front.
Yeah, I could see them winning maybe the first round or something.
Like if they upset Pittsburgh, then go against Kansas, then I kind of like that experience for Tua. Hey, I've never been. That kind of pressure, because playoff pressures in the NFL is a lot tougher than college, I'm assuming.
Yeah. Well, Ross, what do you think?
Animal for sure.
To be honest, I haven't been paying attention to NFL football, so.
Well, that's good. That's fine. I know. Hey, everybody's got their own thing that they like. First off, the Jets upset the Rams to get their first win,
which potentially takes them out of Trevor Lawrence territory.
I know. The Jaguars, like we're talking about a while ago, they've lost 13 in a row. But everybody's kind of said anything I've already been thinking. Like the Bills could be I feel like they're overshadowed. They're a good team. They're 11-3. They're winning some close games. They're playing well all around. They could be one to sneak in there. The Ravens, after being 6-5 or 9-5, and they're hitting. So it's pretty good. Now, one thing, the Cleveland Browns are 9-4. Now, the thing about them, even though they are 9-4, they have been outscored by 20 points this year. So some of the games that they've lost, they've really gotten beat. So I really don't know if their defense can hang with them on that side. But I don't know. I think the Packers I think their defense is okay. I think it can handle their own. And I just feel like the Packers, the Saints, and the Chiefs, I feel like they can score at any moment. And when they don't score, I feel like they did a play they were just wanting to test out. Like when we're playing flag football and we're like, here, let's just do this play. I feel like that's what they do. And they're like, oh, that didn't work out. We'll try again later. Like, I really feel like that those three teams can score any moment. And like tonight, like Ron was saying, maybe they were just saying, hey, let's do this deep threat play, or let's do this run game. Let's find weaknesses, and we'll plan for the playoffs. Because, now it is different this year. The number one team gets a bye week, and everybody else has a game instead of the top two teams. So there is more on the line with that, but I don't know.
I'm going to make another prediction here. If the Kansas City Chiefs don't win, like if they don't make it to the Super Bowl, I'm not going to say the Bills. I'm going to say what's going to happen is the team that's going to go to the Super Bowl is going to be the Tennessee Titans, and they're going to go because Derrick Henry smacked somebody into next week.
Like he did today?
Yeah. He's just going to run all over him.
He shoved the mess out of that guy out of bounds. And if nobody saw that, you need to look up the video today of Derrick Henry shoving that guy about 5 yards down on the ground.
I know they played Detroit, but I'm looking at their numbers right now. Tannehill went 21-27 for 273 and had 3 touchdowns. Henry had 24 carries, 147 yards, and 1 touchdown. They won 46-25, and they've won games like with pretty big scores recently. That might be a team to look at.
Yeah.
On the AFC side.
Now, the Seahawks are 10-4. They got the 3rd spot, but I don't know. Their defense is just too vulnerable.
I don't trust the Seahawks.
You're the worst pass defense league, or team in the league. Your run defense isn't that great either. You're trying to outscore people. And even though they got Carson, I don't feel like Carson he's not a Marshawn Lynch. And today, with them playing the Washington no-name team, they Tyler Lockett wasn't there, Metcalf, they shut down the passing game. They just were not effective. But I don't know. I really think it's
season.
Do what, Luke?
I feel like this season you've got it's almost balanced across the entire NFL.
Well, yeah.
Back through the records, you've got so many 10-4 teams or 9-5 teams. It's really close for the middle of the pack, and usually that's true for some of it. But you've got 2 or 3 elite teams that everybody kind of knows close to the beginning of the season. These two are going to the Super Bowl.
Well, let's think about this.
It's really just the Chiefs that are kind of alone at the top of the pack.
I think one of the best teams with a losing record is the Los Angeles Chargers. Their rookie quarterback, like they've been outscored by 62 points on the year, but their record is 5-9, and Herbert has had them there in almost every single game. You know, and I felt like they've been great. You know, but I know it might be me being a little bit biased too. Like I feel like with playing with your third string majority of the year, I feel like Kyle Shanahan with the Niners could be up for Coach of the Year since he hasn't had anybody worth a darn for about 90% of the season. But so let's go on to the next part, just still with football, talking about college football. We've already talked about this once. You have all the bowl games being announced today, the college football playoffs being announced. But your top 4 teams are Bama, Clemson, Ohio State, and Notre Dame. 3 of those 4 teams have played 11 games. Ohio State has only played 6. And they get the same right to just step in there in the middle of the season and play healthy players and get to be, I think they started out as the 4th ranked team in the nation, I think. Not too sure about that. And now they're in the football playoff after struggling in their championship game against Northwestern. A very good Northwestern team at that. But then you have Cincinnati, who is 8th, and they're 9th. But, like, I saw a picture on Facebook, Texas A&M coach Fisher, talking about how they've had to play an all-SEC conference schedule. And, you know, everybody begs to differ. SEC is the best conference out there. But no non-conference games, no cupcakes, straight SEC. And Texas A&M has went 1 loss. And they're not being looked at for the top 4. You know, in Notre Dame, what was the final score of the Notre Dame Clemson last night?
31-10, I think.
31-10. And that shows you the difference that Trevor Lawrence made from the previous match they had. That was, I think, a close game, but Trevor Lawrence was out because of COVID. And now he's in the lineup, and so it shows you how vulnerable they were and how good he is. And they deserve to be there. Because I was thinking, well, they're going to lose, and they're going to get kicked out, and it's not, you know, they're not fully healthy. But I don't know. So another thing on top of that is, what about well, let's just start with that. So what are y'all's topic on or thoughts on only playing 5 or 6 games and still getting the same credit as the ones that played 10 or 11 games?
I can't fault them for the games that they missed so much, but it is a bit annoying. I think maybe I'm more annoyed that maybe Notre Dame is in it than Ohio State's in it. I've never in my life known myself to root for Texas A&M, and I wind up rooting for Texas A&M this week because, I mean, they have played really well. And if Texas A&M was going to choke, I wanted them to choke on their own accord, not on someone else's accord. But I'm not a fan of the bottom 2 teams. Like, I get Clemson being there. You can't argue Alabama being there at all. But I would not have gone with Notre Dame and Ohio State probably. I think personally, I would have gone Texas A&M. And while I know this is an unpopular opinion amongst other college football fans out there, I would have given it to Cincinnati because they won their conference championship. They played more games and they went undefeated.
Yeah.
And there's this, what was that?
I was going to say the same thing. Like if I'm faulting anybody, I'm not taking Notre Dame out because they played 11 games this season.
Yeah.
They went 10-1, which is still 4 more wins than Ohio State. And I know Ohio State only plays 6, and like you were saying, you can't fault them just because they had struggles with COVID and all the new regulations and all that kind of stuff. But they just didn't play enough. Like, how do you know that you're one of the top teams in the nation when you didn't give yourself enough opportunities to fail?
Yeah.
Well,
they were one game away from actually having their season canceled.
Well, that's the thing with, like, and it was out of their control, so like their conference said, we're not going to play, just like the Pac-12 and all those other conferences. But when like the SEC and all them said, we're going to play, and then they played for about 3 or 4 weeks, it's like, oh, they're playing. Oh, hey, let's just jump in the middle of it. Like, I felt like you should just try it. If it didn't work out, then it didn't work out.
Well, Randy, you and I are teachers, and it's kind of like if you have a student transfer in halfway through the 9 weeks, like, are they still able to get an A in the class? Yes. But are you going to name them as your student of the year? Probably not, because they didn't complete the course like the students that started the year with you. And maybe that's wrong on my part, but that's the illustration I could think of at the time. But I don't know. If you look down the rankings a little bit, and I'm an Arkansas State fan, and so I can't help but cheer for a Sunbelt team. And down there at number 12 is Carolina Coastal, and they went 11-0 in their season.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the same conference, but they're in the top 25 too. Why not give them a shot?
But I just look at Ohio State's schedule. Like, they blew out everybody. The only ranked team they played was Indiana. Very good Indiana team. They beat them by 7. And then they struggled until the fourth quarter of Northwestern. But they played Michigan State. They played Rutgers. They played, like, even Penn State. Penn State's not the Penn State of before. Penn State, yeah, they're just not where they were.
I have a theory, and it is just a theory, that eventually I think there's going to be a pendulum shift in a way, and that these group of 5 schools are. I just keep feeling like at some point the group of 5 schools are going to start overtaking, the quote unquote Power 5 schools, and by that I mean, you're going to start seeing more talent potentially going to the group of 5 schools, because there's a lot of group of 5 players in the NFL right now.
Yeah.
I mean, there's, sometimes it feels like if you want to be a good quarterback or a good NFL quarterback, go to a group of 5 school, or a good wide receiver. But that's just one of my theories. But like you take Cincinnati, and let's say they had their schedule, part of their schedule next year, this year, like if everything went off as a hitch and they had their part of their schedule next year and they went undefeated, how do you keep them out of it? Because one of their opponents next year, if I'm correct, is next year, one of their opponents is Arkansas. And Arkansas, of course, has been bad, but good chance that Arkansas is going to be a lot better next year than they were this year. I'm not saying championship run or anything like that.
Can't be
but
much
let's
worse.
say, what'd you say?
It can't be much worse.
That's true. That's what I'm saying. But like, they're going to most likely be an improved school or improved team. And let's say Cincinnati beats Arkansas and they go undefeated. Then how do you say, well, your schedule wasn't good enough to, get into the playoffs? And it's like, but we beat an SEC school.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's still an SEC school. So how do you take away from that? I think at some point, ultimately, I think what's going to have to happen is the playoffs are going to have to expand.
I think it's got to be more than just 4 teams.
Yeah.
Well, bouncing off of that real quick, and I know we're in an awkward time with all this COVID and stuff like that, but I'm having a hard time. In the first place, I've always had a hard time with a team that's 6-6 make it to the bowl game. But seeing my Vols make a bowl game with a 3-7 record, I'm just having a hard time with that. As much as I want them to play and win and get more games in, it's all fine and dandy. But I'm just kind of like, I would rather it just be a playoffs. Let's just take the top 25 teams or 26 and make it, Like, it's too much about publicity and sponsorships, having these Tostitos or PlayStations and the Gaylord Bowl, all those names, just so your name is in there so you can run those commercials. Let's just, because I know there's like 119 Division I teams. But
16 teams.
Like,
Do a 4-game playoff to a national champion. Top 16.
Like, I feel like there should be an expansion too, Ryan. It's just like the playoffs has been really good, but you could still have those bowl games, because we still have, the Sugar Bowl or whatever being one of the playoff games, and the Peach Bowl being one of the playoff. We still have those games, and then the Rose Bowl is the national title. So we could still have all those bowl games, and then they just dwindle down, kind of like March Madness or NFL.
I'm actually regarding the bowl games, like the non-championship bowl games this year. I'm for them, and it's for this reason alone. It's the extra practices that we get, like the teams get, and it's the extra, it's those extra looks that the guys get. Like I'm just, since Arkansas is my team, I'm going to use them as an example. One of the things that I would like to see Arkansas do in their bowl game, and I'm not saying don't try to win the game, but I would like to see the whole first half go to Felipe Franks and the whole the starting unit on both sides of the ball, and then like the third quarter go specifically to KJ Jefferson, and like let him run the offense, have their second team defense in there, or mix it up like that. And then the fourth quarter, I would like it to go to Malik Hornsby as the quarterback, and then have all the other players that you can play, or mix it up and let them play. Because I think it gives you, I think what the coaches really need to look for this year is just who can play on the field, what can we look like, and getting those extra practices in. If this is a normal year and we had the season we had, it'd be like, well, we don't get a bowl game. But since they're just since they're giving them away like candy this year, I think, use it to your advantage. See who's going to play next year, the people that you didn't get to see play this year, or that we didn't play a lot this year. And that's what I would say for like every other team too. Take Tennessee, play their young guys. Didn't y'all just start a new quarterback this past week?
Last couple weeks, yeah.
Okay, he definitely needs another game, and to see what next year's going to look like. And he hasn't played bad at all. At least that's what little I've seen. He hasn't played horrible. So I like it for that reason this year, just because they get the extra practices and they get that extra game time thing. But for it to matter, both teams have to at least still try to win the game.
I got two thoughts on that, Ryan. The first one, I don't think you're going to get both sides to agree to that. So Arkansas does pull their starters. The other team's going to take advantage of that.
Yeah.
My second thought is, like in high school basketball, what you'll see is one team will get a big lead, and then they'll start substituting in their second round. So if Arkansas was ever able to get a significant lead and borderline be able to keep it, past the third quarter, then that might be the time to really start doing that. Or more likely, and I'm not dogging Arkansas, but more likely they're getting beat by a lot. And if I'm down, 5-6 touchdowns, it's time to try something else. I'm with you on that one.
Yeah. I think there's only one way. They're playing TCU, which TCU's actually had a pretty good year, if I'm correct. I think there's only one way they're getting beat by TCU a whole lot, and that's That's if they attack one person on defense. Which Missouri did.
Yeah.
They attacked our new guy. They were able to just run away with that game. But I like it. I like it for this year. The potential, what it can mean for the teams and everything.
Yeah. Ross, you got anything?
I mean, you guys pretty much said it. I don't particularly like the idea either of a 6-0 team, even though it is Ohio State being in the playoff, and clearly there's some better options there. Whether, like you said, but Cincinnati and Texas A&M, I just don't think they really earned it. I mean, like I said, it's not their fault. It's not, I really do wonder if a coronavirus didn't exist, what this season would have looked like.
I know.
But there's just no way to know that. But it is, it is what it is. We don't make the decisions. It'll still be interesting to watch, because if Ohio State does end up, making it to the championship game, and actually maybe if they end up winning, then okay, and you see why they, maybe they did earn it. Maybe they should have been in the playoffs. But if they get whooped, we'll see how that goes. Be saying the exact opposite. I was actually really surprised to see, Arkansas and Tennessee make bowl games, because they're both 3-7.
Yeah.
Well, they said at the beginning of this year, if I'm correct, that every team's eligible for a bowl game if they want it this year.
But yeah, on the opposite hand of that, I was just like, okay, well, I mean, after this season and after during coronavirus, I think it's pretty cool they giving everybody that opportunity to play a bowl game. Because my first thought was like, they did go 3-7, but they didn't get absolutely trounced this year. Much improvement as we saw from Arkansas from the past 6 seasons, really.
Yeah.
So maybe they earned it, maybe they didn't. In a regular season with no COVID, they probably don't go to a ball game playing 3-7.
They don't. You got to have 6 wins to be eligible in the first place.
Yeah. But like I said, as a Arkansas fan and a Red Bull fan, living in Jonesboro for the past 10 years, I'm glad to see these teams how they especially this year, how Arkansas's progressed, how the major improvement that happened with Sam Pittman coming in, and just it's almost like they did a 180. Not quite, but they still got a long way to go. But I think they're in the top 20 for recruiting this year.
Yeah.
So that's that's coming from like I said, a school that for the past 6 years has just done nothing but go downhill. Just an absolute train wreck. And still being this year, being in the top 20 in recruiting. Arkansas State, they didn't do that well this year, but we got what's the guy's name?
Butch Jones.
Rick Anderson.
Butch Jones, yeah, got Butch Jones coming in. I mean, that's a huge score for Arkansas State. I mean,
I actually want to talk about that a little bit more in a moment.
Me too.
I like it,
and I love the idea, man. Where he's coached at, what he's done. I mean, I think it's going to be a real. If he'll stay for more than 1 year.
Well, the only thing I got to say with knowing him being at Tennessee is he's a great recruiter and he has a lot of passion, but himself and the people that he hires, he doesn't know how to produce and make them better. Like there's numerous players that played with him at Tennessee or played for him at Tennessee that are in the NFL.
He didn't play Alvin Kamara.
Well, that's another thing. Alvin Kamara is probably one of the best running backs in the league, all-around running backs. And he was the backup the whole time. there are some defensive linemen, there are some cornerbacks, and even linebackers that are in the NFL that start and are talked about as not the best, but the top of their position. And with that, you should have think that we would be in the SEC championship every year with that kind of talent. And we had top 15, top 10 recruiting classes, I know it was top 15. And we just, like, our best thing was Josh Dobbs, and we didn't know how to make him better. We had Jalen Hurd, who we let go to Baylor and become receiver, and now he's on the practice squad for the Niners. And then we have Juwan Jennings, who should have the ball thrown him like every play. But I think it's going to be good for Arkansas State.
Yeah, the thing about Arkansas State's performance this year, I can't help but wonder if they knew early on that Blake Anderson was considering another position, because you find typically that teams don't perform as well when they know the coach is not sticking with them anymore, you know?
Yeah.
Their focus is not on the game anymore. It's on the fact that they're losing this coach that they've grown to love. And a lot of these players have played for 4 years of their career. And now he's, he left a big impact, and he was a great coach at Arkansas State, kept us in bowl games and top of the conference most of his years there. And you can't help but wonder if that such has changed this year because he was leaving.
It
now,
could be that.
for Jones, I hate to see my team go downhill just because the coach is leaving.
Well, I was thinking too, maybe, like, at first when I heard he was leaving, I didn't know he was taking another job until like later on that day. And I was thinking maybe he's stepping away from the game because of his family. It's been too much, and his focus on football, or maybe this is just a fresh start. This is just where he's.
I think so too. I mean, dude, Anderson,
can't blame him for that.
He was a cog in this community, man. Like I met the guy a couple times. Jonesboro's not huge, but I remember. Yeah, going into a restaurant one time, and I just kind of glanced at him, and he kind of gave me a head nod, like he remembered who I was. Like he's like, I've seen him around. He was personable. He loved this town. He loved the team, and even after his wife passing away, and I think he took like one game off, maybe, if even that. And then he was back on the sidelines, because that's what his wife was. His wife was the team mom.
Yeah.
So, but him being in this town, I know he loves Jonesboro. I mean, in that the conference with Utah, he talked for 3 minutes about Jonesboro, and it was nothing but good about Jonesboro. So I think it was more or less he needed a change of scenery. He needed to change.
Yeah.
Like you said, he needed a fresh start because this is where his wife died. And maybe, like I said, Luke said, maybe at the beginning of the season, I think he kind of knew like this would probably be his last season. But I don't think that he took his mind off of football. I don't think he took his mind off the team. I think it came to that point where it just, I don't know, it just wasn't working anymore. He did the best he could, under the circumstances. I couldn't sit here and tell you what it'd be like if my wife died, how well I'd perform. I wish him, this whole town, this whole city wishes him the best of luck in his next job in Utah. So, like I said, Butch Jones, I think he's a great hire, especially for Arkansas State.
As long as he doesn't have his mouths on.
Kind of wonder. I haven't heard where Malzahn's going yet, but
I know where he's going, but I ain't gonna say it.
Anderson had Arkansas State. Like Lou said, he had him up there. I mean, we skirted the top 25 a couple times.
Still had the best I think it was 2 seasons that we had the top passing game in the entire country.
Yeah. There's another one too. Ryan Apple's coming back.
Their offense, Arkansas State's offense, most of the games this year is just firing on all cylinders and through the air just dominates defenses. But our defense on the other side can't support it. It's like Kansas City, except Kansas City actually has a defense.
Another booster I think for Arkansas State is going to be Ryan Applin coming back. He's coming back to coach as a running backs coach. Now he's a quarterback. He was a quarterback, but anyway, so
I like Ryan Applin.
He took that dude. He was a good quarterback.
Well, he might as well be a running back too, because half the time, most of it, I'd say, a fourth of his scores were on his feet. He could throw the ball, and he was dangerous that way. But
so that's going to be another just kind of a lift up for Arkansas State having alumni who was very successful as a quarterback. I mean, for Arkansas State, he was there all the way up to my junior year of college, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Good dude. I mean, just solid player. I mean, he's gonna have a lot of success at Arkansas State too. I personally
hope so.
But anyway, back to what we're really talking about. It is what it is. This season, I personally, it's going to have an asterisk on it because this is a COVID season. So I don't know what you could say about it if it didn't happen or COVID didn't exist. Who would have been in the playoffs after a full season? Would Arkansas still be 3-7? Would Tennessee still be 3-7, or would they be 1-10? Who knows? Just at this point, let them play. Because it's been rough on everybody, and enjoy it. I mean, because for a little while there, we didn't even know if we were going to have football. And I'm, for one, glad we did, because it's been fun to watch. It's been great seeing Arkansas's improvement, Sam Pittman at the helm. Excited to see what's going to happen going forward. Excited to watch the playoffs. Getting a little tired of seeing Alabama and Clemson, but that's always a fun game to watch. Even when
somebody's got to knock them off.
Yeah.
Well, let me stop you there. Let's go on to our next subject for the night. First off, I want to ask this before there's any spoilers. Does anybody watch the Mandalorian series?
Oh, heck.
Yes.
All right.
Seen it.
David, what'd you say?
I've seen it. Seen it all.
You've seen them all?
Yeah.
Ryan, have you seen them all?
Of course.
I know Luke has.
Yes.
Ross, do you really watch Mandalorian, Star Wars stuff?
I've watched. Me and Will started watching the Star Wars movies, and of course I got married, moved out.
It's the best show on television.
Just gonna tell you, even without any Star Wars background, you could watch The Mandalorian and
love it.
Show.
All right.
You don't have to have a deep connection to Star Wars to enjoy The Mandalorian.
It's so good.
You'll get more out of it if you've watched Star Wars.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen most all the movies, so I mean, I get the gist of what's going on. So,
but it's just a standalone series. It's wonderful.
So, Ross, are you okay?
I've been told that the Mandalorian is like that. You don't have to watch the movies really to even
You don't.
watch it.
Man, what a good show.
Oh,
now, I won't say that every episode is my new favorite. As soon as it comes up, there's some episodes that I was kind of like, all right, this plot line was super duper predictable. Some of them I'm like, they could have left that one out. But overall, man.
So, Ross, are you planning on watching it? Do you?
At some point I'll watch it.
So you want us to keep spoilers to ourselves right now?
By the time you guys, I do watch it, I'll probably forget what we talked about.
Okay, so you're okay with that if we talk about it for a little bit?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. So if anybody is listening, so spoiler alert, if you love Mandalorian, since this podcast is probably going to air either tomorrow or the next day, I would say quit listening right now or wait about 5 or 10 minutes to join back in. I heard about the last episode accidentally because I was telling Luke this. it didn't say spoiler alert, but it talked about Sebastian Stan, who there was a picture of him, his face, photoshopped several years ago with Luke Skywalker's hair. And them saying, here's Luke Skywalker, here's Sebastian Stan. Tell the difference. And you really couldn't. And right then, that got everybody going to, he could play a young Luke Skywalker. So I understand he's doing, which we'll get into this here in a little bit. He's doing the Winter Soldier and Falcon TV series. But seeing Luke Skywalker come at the end of that last episode, I thought was great. There's rumors that Luke Skywalker plans on being in the upcoming 3rd season, which sucks that it comes out next Christmas. But I'm like, okay, you've already got him tied to Disney. Have him just film a couple things without using CGI. That's my thought on that. Because he looks just like him, and I think he's even talked about it. That if not, I'm reading somebody saying they would like him to be it. But I thought that was awesome. I hate that I already knew it was coming because I kind of knew, but it was still exciting for me watching that last episode. But I've really enjoyed The Mandalorian. I'm excited about the little clip during the credits of Boba Fett taking his little throne.
Let me ask you about that. Is that supposed to be hinting toward a spinoff?
It is.
Oh, no, it is. It's going to be a spinoff.
Because it says coming 2021.
Yeah, I saw that part, but I didn't know if they meant they're going to now continue, following kind of both storylines.
Oh, yes. They plan on, they're doing what's it? Ryan, you might know, or David might know.
The Book of Boba Fett.
Well, no, I'm talking about like all the different spinoffs. There's going to be that, and then there's one with Knights of the Republic or something?
Oh, no, Rangers of the New Republic.
That's it. Yes. That's it. Like, they're going to have all these different spinoffs. And I feel like they're supposed to be also doing a movie based on Lando.
Rogue Squadron. Oh, no, that's going to be a show.
Oh, is it a show? Okay. So, they have
Lando's
all these things given, like, the basis of... So it's not just like,
to wait for next Christmas, you may be able to get your Mandalorian fix.
Oh my goodness, I'm so mad.
Hoping so. Now, on the flip side of that coin, I'm going to have trouble keeping up with it because, there's, it's like reading your favorite book. Okay, well, if you're only reading one series at a time, it's hard to wait sometimes for the next book, but you get one stream of consciousness through that series, and now with at least 3 different series spinning off this one, it's like almost like trying to start another series with some of the same characters, and then a 3rd series with some of the same characters, and try to follow all the paths, which I'm excited, but I have limited brain space too.
Yeah, there's only so much that can go into.
That's right.
All right, so
I think the one thing I'm looking forward is the Ahsoka series and Obi-Wan. They're 4-part one series, and the Bad Batch.
Well, I'm excited. Some people want to forget about the prequel or the first 3 episodes, whatever. But I'm excited about the Obi-Wan series. Hayden Christensen is supposed to reprise his role as Darth Vader for that. I like that they're still sticking with the same characters.
Yeah, but then there becomes a problem, though. Really.
What?
Because we all know that James Earl Jones does the voice, right?
Yeah, does the voice.
But really, you could just put anybody in the suit, and you will think it's Hayden. That's like the problem. Some people disagree bringing him back, and some just want him back. You know what I mean? It's kind of like iffy.
Well,
but I want Hayden back. I feel like
he's confirmed coming back.
Yeah,
I know. It's just that some people didn't like his acting as Anakin, but it's not his fault. It's bad screenplay, the writing.
Well, that's like with a lot of movies. When you have a hit movie come out and then the sequel comes out, everybody wants it to be better than the last. And this movie might be just as good, but your expectations, it's not good. You know, it's just how you took it. And so I think that's where some of it is, you know, a lot of people's opinions, you know, even on, you know, the movie 7, 8, 9, you know, they think, oh, this is how it should have ended. Okay, well, then you go write a screenplay. You know, they might have thought about that and they didn't know how they would connect everything or things like that. But
the whole Daisy Ridley's character wasn't even developed. Like, you know, they were just taking it on the fly. They didn't really have a backstory for Rey. They were like, well, you could be Palpatine, you could be Kenobi, you could be this and that. And then they were like, well, and then mid-shoot, they're like, well, you're a Palpatine. Like, that's not, you know, planning ahead and having a good backstory. That's just kind of like, hey, well, we're budget thinking, but we also have to think on the fly as well. That's, you know, that's why most of that 7, 8, and 9 weren't that good.
Well, most people's opinions 1, 2, and 3 weren't that good either, and they did have planning and backstory and that kind of stuff. But it's not always just because you planned it. You know, it's sometimes when you plan stuff, it still turns into crap.
Yeah.
But like you're talking about the third movie being better with Hayden Christensen in it. But I mean, are we comparing that to 4, 5, and 6, or are we comparing that to 1 and 2? Because comparing it to 1 and 2, the bar was kind of set low anyway by that comparison, so it's not hard for him. And I thought his acting was great. I didn't have any issue whatsoever with him. I thought he did a great job in the third movie. And in fact, I looked forward to the third movie. The first 2 weren't my favorites, but I still liked them, I guess. But the third one, that was such a good performance by him. Like, I felt like he really fell into that role and kind of fell off.
The third movie is my favorite movie of all of the Star Wars movies.
Plot-wise, it is possibly the most complex.
Yeah.
There's so much dramatic character change in that movie. Not just his character. Like, most of the characters changed. Like, that's the pivotal moment. So I think it becomes very easy for that to be one of the better movies because there's so much content to it.
All right, guys, we got about 5 or 10 more minutes, so I'm going to hit on something. We'll go around and kind of get everybody's little opinion. So the other day, they started releasing trailers of all the Marvel Cinematic Universe television things, movies. So if you have a preference, I want you to give some of your movies that you're interested in. And then if you know about any of the television series that are coming on Disney Plus, release one of those that you're interested in. I'm still excited about Black Widow. I think I'm super, super excited about the new Spider-Man movie with the whole plan with the multiverse coming in and them having all the different Spider-Mans and Doc Ock and all those characters, because that even sets up for a Sinister Six movie that they're hinting at the end of Spider-Man 1. I'm curious about the Thor movie. I'm like, I don't know. I'm just still excited just seeing all the stuff come up about Black Panther, how they want to move on from, I don't mean this in a bad way, but move on from Chadwick Boseman's character and focus on the characters in Wakanda. So that's kind of where I'm at. Like, I'm really looking forward to Spider-Man. The more news I hear and the more pictures I see about certain people being on set that were from previous Spider-Mans. The cinematic television series, I don't know if anybody has seen any of the previews, but the WandaVision trailer looked pretty cool. The Falcon and Winter Soldier, those two guys together look like they have a great chemistry. The Loki series looks like that's going to be very interesting. I'm excited about Ms. Marvel. That storyline looks pretty good. And that, you know, they're having some Guardians of the Galaxy series with Groot. That's supposed to be pretty cool. Hawkeye's getting his own series with his daughter. And then Ironheart, which is a spinoff kind of Iron Man. And there's been talks about Robert Downey Jr. reprising his role in that series. So we'll go, Ryan. What are you excited for? What's something concerning you? Anything, movies and television, or both?
Well, no, I'm excited about everything, like every little thing. I'm not really concerned about any of the stuff because in Feige we trust.
Yeah.
But I'm super excited about it. I'm probably, as of right now, other than Spider-Man, I'm probably most excited about Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
Because I think Doctor Strange, I don't remember what comes out first. If Doctor Strange comes out first.
It's planned to be out in March of 2022, and Spider-Man, I think, is being told right now December of 21.
Okay, so I know WandaVision, Spider-Man, and Doctor Strange are going to be they're going to kick off the multiverse, and they're going to also, and through that, we're going to get mutants. So we're going to, one of those will either heavily imply, or I think Doctor Strange will be the one that actually gives us mutants. So I'm super excited about that. I think that's probably the most intriguing movie that's going to come out. And I say that even though I know Spider-Man's doing what Spider-Man's doing and everything. But that's not, that's ultimately that's going to be about Spider-Man. And what I mean by that is, I think that movie is going to either be a backdoor for Spider-Man out of the Marvel Cinematic Universe and into the Sony universe, or it's just gonna bring all of them together. But that's gonna be the Spider-Verse stuff. So I'm excited about that, but I'm just really excited about Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness and the next Thor movie, because Thor Love and Thunder is going to have Christian Bale in it as the God Butcher.
Yes.
So I was on board as soon as they said Christian Bale a couple months ago, and then when they finally said who he was going to be, I was hoping it was going to be the character he's playing or Beta Ray Bill, and so that's when I'm excited about those movies.
All right, David, you got any preference?
Venom 2. Morbius. I don't know if that's gonna come out anytime soon, but I've heard
It's come out in 2021.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, I want to see Uncharted, but if we're talking about superheroes.
Well, I did like some of the screenshots from the set of Uncharted.
Yeah, I want to see Halloween Kills and the Conjuring 3, because I've seen 1, 2, so I figured, finish the series.
Yeah.
What else? Black Widow. I mean, in terms of female superhero movies, they haven't been as great as Wonder Woman did. So I'm just hoping that Black Widow succeeds like Wonder Woman. That's one of the things I'm looking forward to.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty much it.
All right, Luke?
Well, my main one is Black Widow, and it's all coming down to one question for that, and I want to know what happened in Budapest. That's the thing I want to know, because they haven't ever addressed it.
I know, they keep talking about this thing.
We remember it very differently, and that was it. So that's the main reason I want to see that. And
Then you have a movie called Budapest. That's all they need is a movie.
Yeah. And all it's got to do, it could be 5 minutes long and just explain what happened. And I would be.
Oh, it makes sense now.
Yeah, I'd be like, okay, I get it. That is very different than the way he remembered it.
Here, before you go on, here's what needs to happen. They both meet up somewhere like, listen, I found tapes from the government of Budapest. And they sit down, they watch the tape, and they look at each other, and one of them goes, oh, you were right. That's how it was.
Yeah.
Anyways, go ahead.
So, I don't know. The TV series, don't get me wrong, I love Marvel. And so I'll end up watching them anyway. But for the most part, it's the movies that I really am looking forward to. The Black Panther 2, I'm interested in that one just because I want to see where they go with it. And
I am too.
With that. And then you got a bunch of them that are coming up that in a few years, I mean, you're looking at some really good stuff. You know, there's another Avengers coming up. Kind of curious how that's going to go because Captain America seems to have hung up his shield or passed it on, I guess is the correct term. But and being Captain America, that makes me sad. So kind of interested to see how that goes. If it, you know, are they going to pull in a new group of Avengers? Is Wolverine finally going to be on the team like he's supposed to have been?
You know, they have they posted a picture of the Fantastic Four logo.
Yeah,
that's supposed to be. But you know, you have the Internals, and then the New Mutants. You have a bunch of those guys that were part of like the new Avengers. And this, you know, it's kind of like the Guardians of the Galaxy. When that movie first came out, I was kind of thinking, really? That's not really like a main comic book that people would know.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like one of the most popular movies. And so now, you know, that's some of these movies I'm kind of like, oh, I know about the Legend of the Ten Rings because I've read comics and stuff, but there's some people that's not going to know that might not want to go see it, or they will just see it just because it's Marvel. But anyways.
Well, and David was talking about, you know, they're the leading female characters. So you've got some good ones coming up. You've got the Unstoppable Wasp. You've got Captain Marvel and the Valkyries. So you've got some and Black Widow, obviously. So some really strong superheroes to do their stuff. I like Doctor Strange, so I'm excited for his Doctor Strange Illuminati. That'll put some rumors to bed too. But then you've got some other ones that I'm like, I'll watch it, but I'm not necessarily just holding out for it. Like, on this list that I've got, it says Nova, Namor, the Submariner, and Warlock. And I know all of those have been kind of mentioned before, or referenced to, or, you know, a cut scene was put in there for them. But really, it's just Black Widow. I got to know what happened in Budapest.
Yeah. I'm excited about the rumor. I don't know if it got confirmed that the guy who played Daredevil in the series is supposed to be reprising his role in the new Spider-Man.
And see, we could do a whole show.
So I liked how they're connecting the TV series with the movies.
Because I think all of the Netflix series that they did, you've got Daredevil, you've got The Punisher, you've got Iron Fist. I feel like all of those shows.
Luke Cage.
Yes, Luke Cage was awesome if you guys did not see that. But all of those characters did such a great job. Like they almost better than what a movie could have done for them. And so I feel like they owe it almost to those actors to use them in the movies.
Yeah. See, if you ever want to know,
especially the Punisher, I'm just gonna say.
Yeah. If you ever want to know if like Disney listens to the fans when they fan cast someone, or they say we would like to see this person as the, you know, as my hope that Charlie Cox comes back as Daredevil falls squarely on the fact that Rosario Dawson is playing Ahsoka Tano, because that was a fan cast. Her as Ahsoka Tano was a fan cast from like 5 or 6 years ago, maybe even a little bit longer.
Mm-hmm.
And when they announced Ahsoka was going to be live action, they brought her in as Ahsoka Tano. They brought her into player. So my hope is that just because of that, Charlie Cox was going to come back as Daredevil. which hopefully brings back most of the other cast as their characters as well.
All I can say is what else does John Bernthal have to do to earn the Punisher? Because he knocked it out of the park. Like, he was the Punisher. And now, more than even the movie The Punisher, which came out, back in 2004, I feel like he's earned the spot. It's kind of like with Wolverine. Who else but Hugh Jackman could play Wolverine?
Ross, what about you?
Freaking all of it, man. I'm excited about all of it. But what I'm most excited about, if I had to pick, I'm really excited about the Eternals. And that's my choice because I've taken a real interest in kind of researching and studying where these guys came from.
Yeah.
And because, and reading up on it, the Eternals possibly is going to have I don't know how much of a storyline they'll play into it, but you're talking about the Celestials too. And if you remember, we got a glimpse of a Celestial in Guardians of the Galaxy, which is Esau, the Searcher. When that big colossal figure that had the Power Stone, threw his hammer down and like evaporated the entire planet.
Yeah, know where his head.
Mm-hmm. The big
had like 6 eyes. He's huge. Okay, so these guys are basically the creators of the Marvel Universe, with one above all being the top dog. So I'm really excited about possibly getting a glimpse into the Eternals, the Celestials, and even Thanos. He was a kind of a offshoot of an Eternal. They called it, for the Titan race. So I'm really excited about that. Just Doctor Strange and the multiverse. I'm really excited about Spider-Man and bringing in Tobey Maguire and I forget the other guy's name. James Garfield. Not James. Andrew Garfield.
Yeah.
Andrew Garfield. That's the president. Andrew Garfield. Bringing these guys in so that just plays on the multiverse scheme, right? Black Widow, Loki. I mean, just all of it. The list goes on and on and on. And we're looking into 2025 for the next 4 to 5 years of movies and TV shows that past, present, and future of the Marvel Universe, which is just super exciting. Because, for the past decade, we've watched all these movies, and how we're getting TV shows and even more movies that are going to explain things that we saw but we didn't know exactly, like the Budapest. Like, what in the world? Like, if that does explain what happened in Budapest, which I think they will.
I hope so.
Loki. What happened? What happened to Loki after he, took the Tesseract and disappeared? We're going to find out, and that's just super exciting to me.
Did you watch the trailer?
He does not get on that ship with Thor this time. I died there. I'm not doing that again.
Did y'all watch the
Hawkeye's
Loki
getting
trailer?
his own. Thor: Love and Thunder. I mean, just multiple. She-Hulk. We're getting a She-Hulk. And then, Black Panther 2. I'm really excited to see where they're going to take Black Panther after Chadwick Boseman's death. Because I don't know, is there any update on the character who plays Shuri? Because I think she backed out, didn't she?
No, she didn't back out.
Didn't back out?
I saw one post that was talking about in the comic that she took over after he passed or after he left.
Yeah.
This would be the ideal situation where she could just step into that role.
Yeah, and you're talking about female leads. I mean, I think everybody in the Marvel Universe wanted to see her take over as Black Panther. I do. I don't know anybody who doesn't want to see her take over as Black Panther. I mean, I think Brandy in the comic book, she's the logical successor anyway.
Yeah, because one of the theories, he went into a coma or something. I forgot who put him in the coma, and so she ends up taking over. And she's the genius behind the uniform.
Yeah,
anyway, the technology.
She's all but running the country anyway.
Yeah, I mean, she's the power behind the throne. So that's going to be really exciting. I guess we're going to see a reboot again of the Fantastic Four series, but I think they'll get it right this time. I hope they do anyway.
I don't know.
And then there's a couple of them I've never heard, like Moon Knight, Secret Invasion. Like Randy said, Ironheart. Ironheart seems like Armor Wars.
Well, that's its own thing. That's its own creation.
Still, I mean, even if it doesn't play part in, I mean, just all these shows and movies that are coming out. You've got a Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special. You've got a Groot series.
Give me all of it.
Yeah, that's what I was like. Just give me all of it. I will consume every bit of it. All the movies and TV shows, we'll watch it all. I'm not concerned about anything just because of the direction that the Marvel Universe went with all of its directors and casts and every storyline. I mean, it was just almost played out to perfection. So, and I have no doubts about the future when it comes to the rest of it. So,
all right, guys. So if this is for y'all, anybody listen, if you haven't seen the trailers for Loki, WandaVision, go see them. I really like it, especially the Loki one. I think it's going to be good. Guys, that's going to be it for tonight. We've run out of time. Anybody have any closing things they want to say? Ryan, do you have anything?
I hope I get a PS5 one day and I get to play Cyberpunk 2077 when it comes back out.
Apparently they make some changes to that game.
I need it to come back out. I need to get the PS5 and I need that game to come back out. So I want to play it.
Hey,
Don't do it.
Let me tell you, if you want a stinking hard game to play Demon's Souls.
No, I don't want to play Demon's Souls. I want to play Cyberpunk 2077.
I'm just saying, dude. That game.
I think all the people who bought that game also want to play it.
I know.
Exactly.
So I need it to come back out.
David, you got anything you want to say?
No, not really.
Way to go, David. Way to be all out there. Luke, you got anything?
No, I'm good.
Well, thank you for joining tonight, Luke. Hope you can
You're
do
welcome.
more.
Looking
I like
forward
hearing
to it.
this is our way to be able to chit chat since we're all spread out across the state. Ross, you got anything else you want to say?
Well, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to everybody who's listening.
Yes.
I'm going to be off the whole last week of December, and I plan on getting a lot of gaming in. I got the Battle Pass for Call of Duty, so
I feel bad.
early planning on having that because I got it I got the season 6 and didn't complete it, so I plan on completing this one. So and then just I'm finishing up God of War 3. I'm just kind of working my way back through that series on PlayStation Now. But then after that, I'm gonna dive right into going to some other games. Like The Last of Us. I'm gonna replay that one. The Last of Us 2. Gonna live stream that one. Randy, I know you already did, but and then just some other games that I'm gonna be trying to tackle over my break. So
Sounds good. Also, if we can, like I mentioned earlier, this will post either tomorrow or the next day, hopefully tomorrow. And maybe at the end of the week, we can do, we don't have to do it as long, maybe like a little 30-minute podcast for Christmas, maybe either on Christmas Day or the day after or something, just to check in and just talk about our Christmas and any sports or any news that we've seen over the last couple of days. But anyways, everybody that's listening, appreciate y'all. Keep listening, give us feedback. If you have any topics that you want us to talk about, please comment. Email us if you know our email. My email is titanavengergaming@gmail.com. So send us those topics. Comment on our Facebook when we share, and we will try to tackle it the best way we can. The only thing that we want to stay away from is politics and religion, just because because that can be pretty personal, and this is about making people laugh and just talking about a lot of interesting things and not making anybody fight with what's going on in the world right now. I just don't want to deal with it. So anyways, again, like Ross said, and everybody, appreciate y'all. Have a Merry Christmas, and we will talk to y'all later.